Greetings sailors and welcome back to World of Warships, and today I'm going to play a bit of St. Vincent, which is the tier 10 battle cruiser. And I have to say, having found it a bit of a slog to go through the Duncan with its, 16 point something inch guns. Is that 16? Isn't it like 406? 16, so it's 16.1 or 16.2 or something like that. So then you go to the 18-inch guns. The guns just feel a lot meatier, and the ship itself is still a fairly squashy platform. It still has a fairly awkward layout, much like the Duncan. But I think the increase in firepower kind of overcomes the awkwardness that I got from playing the Duncan, especially as you have some fairly terrifying high explosive alongside. Was it Incomparable also has? No, Incomparable's got even bigger guns. I think it's Thunderer's guns. Yeah, so it's the same HE basically. Slightly different setup, but it means that if you find your AP failing, you can reach for the HE. And, of course, you're going to find some people that only ever use the high explosive. But that's boring. That's a bit brain dead, in my opinion. Yes, you can play it that way, but it's kind of neglecting an important part of your tool set, i.e. the AP shells, which can be really rather good. So, let's see what kind of setup we get. Hopefully it's not going to be anything too wild. Well, all tier 10s, that's fine, and only one fly in the ointment, that being a submarine, and otherwise that looks okay. Quite a lot of destroyers. Well, I say quite a lot, 4 destroyers, but that still can feel like a bunch of destroyers. I guess it looks like more visually because you're looking at the bottom and thinking, oh, that's quite a lot. Well, that also includes the submarine. Anyway, let's see what we see, and resist the urge to charge in face first, because that's not what these ships are good at. Unlike the German battle cruisers, which do have the secondaries, and I think a bit more survivability in terms of their armour. The limit of survivability with the German battle cruisers is more to do with the limited damage control party. And of course they only have regular heals as well, whereas this has got the specialised repair team and doesn't have a limit to its number of DCPs, but it's more squish in terms of its armour. It's also not got quite the same punch in terms of its torpedo armament that the Schlieffen does, so they are rather different beasts in that regard. So here's our first targets. I don't know if I want to open fire right exactly at this moment when I'm sat entirely broadside. But let's maybe have a go at the Hindenburg first. Not sure what kind of speed that Montana's doing. Of course, at this range, it's not so difficult to dodge out the way if you're paying attention in a cruiser. Even in a battleship, you can have some sufficient amount of reaction time, as with those Montana shells coming in. Well, some of those look like they will go a minor amount of damage. So there is definitely some guesswork involved at these longer ranges. Montana's definitely not going maximum speed or anything like that. I think they've got a bit more going on this side than we do. I mean, we've basically got me, the sub, and the Elbing. And Elbing is not a stealthy boy. Elbing is very unstealthy. Elbing is a cruiser pretending to be a destroyer, essentially. And it doesn't do that well trying to outspot other destroyers. What are you doing, Montana? You're being very cagey with your speed in your turning. Much like me, that's cheating. Only I'm allowed to do that. So yeah, this kind of range, I might actually be better off with a high explosive, but we'll keep trying the AP for a little bit. There are a fair few of the enemy ships over on this flank, though, it looks like, so we might actually just choose discretion as the better part of valor and move a little bit eastwards first before I start opening fire again. Because I don't want to be focused by the Kurfürst, the Montana, the Venezia, the Hindenburg, and anything else that isn't even spotted yet. Now our submarine's just kind of going for it, despite the fact that they don't really have a good escape plan there. I think they might just be a bit boned, to be honest. I suspect they will get sunk sooner rather than later. Right, where are you going, GK? Don't know, but hopefully you're not doing so in a highly evasive manner. Right, that wasn't a particularly great hit, but I suspect also my aim is not super great. I've not actually played any Warships before this recording today, so I haven't warmed up, so to speak. Which matters more for some ships than others. It's not like I'm playing a super difficult ship to play. Like some ships you really do maybe require a bit of a run up. Right, that's somebody in the cap. And you can tell I took a fairly heavy hit through the rear there, because this is one of those annoying transom stern ships which, you know, there was actually quite a good reason for designing your ships that way. But for World of Warships purposes, it just gives a nice flat surface for being penned. So yeah, I can't quite tell what's going on, to be honest. This is overall looking a bit odd. It's like this is okay. They've pushed up here because there really wasn't a lot to stop them. Me, the Elbing, and the sub, who is going to be running out of air soon, surely. We've got that cap. We don't have the decap, and then we have this. I don't know. The team is spread out very awkwardly. It feels like. That might just be me. And that's a naughty little submarine, but I don't know which way you're going. It's the big disadvantage is they could be... oh, right. Fat fingered that there, but if they were banking on me not having my damage control party, I'm sorry to disappoint them, but it ran out of range anyway. Yeah, I am also recording this on a Saturday, so who knows, it might be the weekend effect. Yeah, I guess it was the sub that capped. That would make sense. Somehow our sub's still alive. I guess mostly because the destroyers weren't too interested in tracking it down. And... having said that, yeah, they are getting themselves depth charged. Right, that's just out of range, isn't it? Anyway, this GK has pushed up too far. Hopefully we can take them out. And there's the Des Moines firing at them as well. Although it looks like the Des Moines firing AP, which feels like it's a slightly odd choice. But this Elbing has also been taking a bit of heat off me, which is unfortunate for the Elbing. I suspect they've found themselves more of a tasty target. I've just noticed a lot of people have died without me even noticing. This has been an odd game. Yes, I don't really know what's going on, but this has been a very odd game. We kind of have won, kind of. Like, we could still lose this, but man, we'd have to try awfully hard. I just clipped that Ragnar. Montana's still alive and healthy, of course. You know, I might still die. Oh, that was a good quick drop, as it were. Yeah, I don't know if this is going to be a terribly high damage game, but we could still maybe try and do something against the Montana. You know what, we'll try the high explosive. They're at an angle, and I kind of want to show the high explosive at least a bit. And, you know, farming some damage off this Montana by setting fires might feel a little dirty under the circumstances, but we've kind of won this one anyway. I'm honestly not quite sure how this is... like, the enemy team just sort of... I don't know. They were even more fragmented than we were, I suppose. This was just a weird one. Very, very weird one. Anyway, chances are good we'll get fires on the Montana. It's a 63% chance. Although we do actually have to hit the Montana, of course, that helps. We do have our bow stern armour to be wary of. It's only 25mm on the extremities, so yeah, there are plenty of things that can and will just punch through that. Right, little sub. Let's see if we can't give you a hard time.
Torpedoes direct front.
I know exactly where you are.
Torpedoes dead ahead.
At least I'm not in a position where them surfacing and shotgunning me right in the face, which, you know, I have seen happen multiple times recently. You know, I've got some ability to absorb that.
Standing by for instructions, over.
And of course, I don't actually have... Oh, that's not what I meant to... Anyway, to... Like, I need to be waiting for them to ping me, essentially. And even those 2 torpedoes I did take there hurt. Right, we'll go back to AP. This guy is much more broadside now. Might also be quite nice for the Venezia. I guess we'll see. To be wary of the Venezia's torps also.
Torpedoes to starboard.
Oh, you've popped up to the side, have you? Well, see, nothing I can do about that. That's just what it is. They got there to there fairly quickly, but what can you do? Like, there's no counter to that. There's none. Like, radio location probably wouldn't have helped me. Although they may have been surfaced, I don't know, but I think the Montana would have been closer. And yes, you know, that could have happened with a destroyer as well, but a destroyer can't go underneath you. Whereas the submarine can and clearly did go underneath. So, yeah, that happened and was fun and engaging, clearly just as Wargaming intended. So there we are, it basically took the sub running out of air and surfacing essentially right on top of the Petro, or right under the Petro almost, to get spotted. Petro had actually popped their radar, but because the sub was underneath, of course, did nothing. So, yeah, 82k, that's not great. That was a weird game, though. That was a very weird game. Let's battle on. Okay, well, this is going to be more challenging. No sub this time, but it's now 5 destroyers per team. And there is a super carrier on each side as well. So yeah, as one of only 2 battleships, I kind of feel like I might not last that long. Like, yeah, I'm going to be a focus for lots of things, essentially. Like, I am the tier 10 battleship, so yeah, we'll see how this goes, but I'm not expecting to last a long time if I get heavily focused. And given the between the cruisers, the carrier, and all the DDs, yeah, we'll have to see how this goes. So already there are planes. And somebody's targeting me as well. Although they may be targeting the Clausewitz more. He's already lost a pretty big chunk of health. There's a Minnesota, so we know where they are. Our Eagle hasn't actually spotted anything yet, I don't think. There's the Minnesota firing that got them spotted. Yeah, this is like, I'm not really compelled to go on off and try and do my own thing in this particular game, because that feels like it would be a bad move. I feel like I'm going to have to try and stay near the pack somewhat. Right, there's an Edgar. Probably going to be able to accelerate out of the way of those shells, but you never know, I might just end up clipping them. Not sure who's... one ricochet. Not sure who's targeting me right now. It might be the Minnesota, it might be somebody else. And yes, the United States is focusing this group here first. Apparently they're trying to focus down the Clausewitz. And the Clausewitz clearly having a wonderful time. I don't think have they taken the hits from anything other than the carrier so far? Anyway. Yeah, we're having all kinds of wonderful game design and balance things on display today, apparently. I mean, the last game with a sub, it wasn't even that egregious. I've seen subs do far, far worse things. I don't know, arguably the supercarriers are worse than the subs. But yeah, no, this United States is like, this Clausewitz must die. I think they're just going to target single ships over and over again. Right, you are... where, Edgar? Let's try blind firing. Oh, just as the Alaska. Oh, it's the Edgar's like there, so I don't know who that is in that smoke. I don't know. Might be... what's the Smolensk? Oh, of course it's the Smolensk. Of course the Smolensk is here. Hurrah! Yeah, I don't think there's any place on this map that's going to be particularly fun to be, given what matchmaking has handed me. Let's see if we can at least finish off this Edgar. Yes, there we go. Right, the Kunming is on the other side somewhere. The Alsace doesn't especially want to go forwards either. Now the Alaska's getting demolished. We have more planes coming in. Yeah, you know, this is not fun matchmaking for anybody, especially, I don't think, but hey ho. This many super ships in one match. Now the planes are coming for me. Hooray, hooray! I'm not going to waste the defensive for the fast planes. Well, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. 20-odd thousand hit points of health, where, you know, could have been worse, I guess. Is the best I can say about that interaction. Kind of got a bit of a lack of spotting here, though. Oh, hello, Smolensk. You were just lurking behind that island until your smoke came back, apparently. It's hard to tell how this is going. We do have the Sea Cat, but it's like a couple of ships left. There's the Forest Sherman. There's the Annapolis. And there's still a Kunming somewhere. The Yamagiri is actively trying to find them, though, so that's good. Double fire from the Annapolis. Oh, and yeah, I've just been defensively manoeuvring because I was expecting something like that. Wave of torpedoes to go past. So, one thing that is being tested at the moment, apparently that'll be quite interesting, is The thing that reminded me of it is the overpen ribbon. You'll actually have a visual effect of overpens, which is going to be interesting. But even though you might be able to visually, like the demo they showed, you could actually see the shell going right through the ship, which was pretty cool. But it's not going to, like, as it goes through the ship, it's not going to overpen and then damage something behind it, essentially. So it's kind of a neat thing, but it's going to be sort of purely visual. Right, anyway, the Kunming is somewhere up ahead. I kind of want the Amagiri to press up a bit. But hey, look, more planes. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do much about them. I'm definitely not going to use my... in fact, I'm probably better off trying to speed boost. It's literally two groups of planes. Get the heel going. Yeah, so I think I might be next on the target list, on the hit list of the United States. It seems like rather than trying to help out with people on the map in specific places, they're instead just picking on the same ship over and over. And just, I don't know, farming damage rather than trying to be super useful to their team. I really am cautious about trying to push up here because the Kunming is somewhere up ahead, but at the same time, you know, if I make myself a sitting target for the carrier, I might just have to take the risk. Oh, there's the Kunming. Oh, well, guess what? I fell right into the trap. I fell right into the trap. What can you do? Try using the AA guns. I saw the CV. I committed the classic mistake. I saw the CV and went must shoot CV. Must shoot CV. There's a tromp. I can shoot at the tromp. Yeah, I'm probably going to die to the... I'm probably going to die to the Trump or the Annapolis. There we go. Yeah, the Annapolis got me. Ugh, right. Well, that one was squarely on me. I took the bait. I saw the United States and went, oh, must shoot. And I ate a pair of torpedoes in the process. It wasn't even pushing around the island. It's because I pushed around the island trying to get all 3 turrets available to shoot at the United States. That's what did for me. Anyway. Let's see how this finishes, I suppose. Well, as you can see, bit of a disappointing result. Because the last 2 games were quite quick. Let's just try one more. And maybe I'll actually get to survive one. Who knows? So, no subs, no carriers. And I'm not one of only 2 battleships for a change, so let's see if this is slightly more fun for me. Fingers crossed. Right, so that's someone spotting the Venezia already, which is not surprising. It's not a stealthy ship. Hopefully our Ragnar will get to spot somebody soon as well. Looks like they're planning to back in, which I guess is fine. Venezia, not 100% sure what their plan is. I don't think they're trying to go for it themselves. No. Just using that island to make a turn. And didn't want to use one of... Well, having said, oh, they probably didn't want to use one of their spokes so early. No, there they go. Yeah, Venezia is not a sneaky maneuverable cruiser. I mean, there's not a huge number of those at tier 10 anyway, but Venezia, definitely not one of them. Well, that was okay. 16k. We're getting some more reliable spotting now, mostly through people actually shooting at stuff. But yeah, the fact that you get the that doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's relatively late in arms race for the heal buff to appear, which can sort of, it plays more like a standard game. Whereas with the heal, you know, you might have the option of disappearing for a bit and getting some hit points back, but if you're very critically low on health anyway, you know, it's unlikely to change you from being, you know, a one-shot. You have to wait quite a long time before you get enough hit points to make a difference in that regard. Right, there's the enemy Venezia. I would have been surprised if I'd hit the Goliath, but you never know. But there's also definitely an enemy destroyer here somewhere, which is not surprising. There are still 3 of them. 2 of them are Katsonuses, actually. So I don't have to worry about their torpedoes too much. I can also understand why the Ragnar would maybe not want to charge in and risk getting radared. Presuming that they know about that, of course. It's not everyone does necessarily. Is that a... I wonder if that's the Katsonus? Harugamo? Could be the Harugamo. Probably the Harugamo. That's some quite fast incoming fire. This is not a ship I desperately want to see. But I'm sure they're more than happy enough to see me. See if we can get out of their range. Possibly worth popping a heal as well, although they are literally the only one firing at me right now. Yeah, there's one of the Katsonuses, so yeah, it has to be the Harugamo. Stopping for a quick pew-pew. Get that Hindi. Oh, Venezia, I'm not sure why you're trying to charge towards the Harugamo smoke, but I don't know if I'd recommend it. Certainly not doing it on your own. Right, I'm not sure who's looking at me, but somebody is. Yeah, it's the Harugamo. Right, I mean, if the Venezia doesn't die, now the Harugamo's exposed and out in the open, those SAP shells are no joke. But, you know, if the Venezia doesn't die is potentially... yeah. Potentially an open question. I mean, the good news is, they killed the Harugamo.
Our team has taken the lead.
We'll see if they survive. We do have now 2 of the healing buffs going on. We do seem to have a bit of momentum here as well, although it's always wise not to be a bit too eager in a squishy ship.
Engine boost deactivated.
Because your health can go down very quickly. But let's actually pop one of the heals. Right, on this side of the map at least, I think we're doing okay. I'm going to stealth the reposition a little bit before I open fire again. Yeah, we seem to have... I don't know what to say. This is shaping up to be another slightly weird match. The last match wasn't too one-sided, but it was just very ugly matchmaking. We ended up not having that much of a chance, but yeah, the first game was pretty one-sided. And this game is also turning out to be very, very one-sided as well. Well, I guess we're going to lob some shots over there. We might actually just be able to be a bit more cheeky and aggressive considering the circumstances. Like, I think this is the point where you can maybe get away with it. They've got one Katsonus left who's on the other flank. And... yeah. Everything else here is just kind of... Shall we see if we get some fires going on that De Grossa? We can just kind of start pushing a bit at this stage. fact, we might even be helping out the Venezia if we can take some heat off them. Alright, reload speed buff, that's nice. Not sure who's looking at me, but it's De Grosso. Why are you firing high explosive, De Grosso? It's not the best ship for that. If they're trying to get some tick damage, I guess they've succeeded, but it's a lot less valuable against a ship like mine.
Is in sight.
So he's used his DCP. I think he's just one of those battleships players that likes to use high explosive regardless of circumstances. Okay, well done. So I should cause another fire. Yeah, there we go. Double fire, in fact. Let's go back to AP shells. Yeah, this is just pushing in to grab some damage at this point. Use another heal. Hello, Goliath. Gotta be slightly wary of the Goliath's torpedoes, of course. Oh, that was unlucky. 5 overpowers. Oh, and we won. Okay, well, we got within spitting distance of 100k damage. Also, I'm pretty sure, did I just see Chaos Machine? Yes, Chaos Machine's in this game. Okay, then. So, everybody wave to Chaos Machine. He's a fellow... I think he streams more than... I don't think he does YouTube, but... yeah, Chaos Machine. Very pleasant chap to play with. We didn't lose a single ship. We didn't even lose that Venezia, who ended up being first place. I don't know what to say. It's just... It's been one of those recordings, apparently, where maybe not quite as individually a weird of a thing as that Gneisenau trying to chase me in the last video, but all three of those games were a bit weird in their own way. Two very one-sided games. In fact, this was the most one-sided like compared to the first one. The first one we at least lost some ships. In this one, we didn't lose a single ship. So I don't know what to say about that, other than it's a weekend, and I guess that means things are weirder than normal. Anyway, St. Vincent, quite like it. If, like me, you were struggling with the line a bit, I think it's worth it getting to the top of the line. Yeah, it doesn't get like any significantly tankier, but it certainly feels like a really nice upgrade in firepower. Although, of course, if you already have, like, say, the Thunderer, then you'll know how these guns perform. Heck, even the Conqueror. Does the Conqueror still get the option? No, the Conqueror used to have the option, but I guess the Conqueror doesn't get the option anymore. That'll be on the Devastation, I suppose, whenever that appears. Anyway, so... no Devastation's showing the... Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, yeah, St. Vincent, I like it. So, that is just about it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, even though the games were weird. But sometimes it's like that. And if you did enjoy it, you can do all the usual things down underneath it. And of course, as always, stay tuned for more.